I've already given you some of my favorite sleepers among hitters this preseason, so let's do some more. And let's get a little deeper. These are some deep sleepers who I love at the end of fantasy baseball drafts. Now, all the players I'm going to talk about are currently available after pick 200 in NFBC drafts, and this is going from current ADP. Let's lead off with a guy who could be leading off for the Minnesota Twins in 2024, second baseman Edouard Julien. I have a feeling Julien's ADP is going to start to go up when people start to take notice the fact that he's a budding young star. He went for 16 home runs and basically half a season's worth of at-bats last year. His WOBA was in the top 10 percentile last year thanks to the fact that he walked 15.7% of the time. That's really good, which is part of the reason why he would hit leadoff against right-handed pitchers. The problem is he also had a 31.7% strikeout rate, which is really bad. With some more experience, sure, he can cut that down. But here's the problem. You notice I said right-handed pitchers. Being a lefty, then yeah, you might see some negative splits. Well, Julien, again, rookie season, take it for what it's worth. But it was a pretty negative split against left-handers, only hit 196 over 48 plate appearances. This is why his ADP is low, and he remains a sleeper because we could see him in a platoon. Strong side granted, but still, take that for what it's worth. But, some players don't really need to get 600 plus at-bats in order to be productive. He's going to be on the strong side. He's got plenty of pop. Now, you're not getting a lot of speed from this second baseman, but look, the power is legit. 30 home run upside, sure. And he's going to score a bunch of runs if he's at the top of that lineup. So look, second base is a position that gets shallow pretty soon. So if you don't strike early, I'm perfectly comfortable waiting and taking him as a starter. Now, when you talk about shallow positions, catcher is it, right? Now, you know how it works. There's those few elite catchers, the ones that you can rely on. They're going to be the studs. They're going to go fairly early. And then you have either the kind of boring veterans or the young, unproven players with upside. Here's a young player with upside. Logan O'Hoppe, the Angels. Kind of similar to Julien in the fact that in basically half a season, in fact, a little bit less worth of plate appearances, he showed some major power, which is a little surprising. He was known to be kind of a well-balanced catching prospect, not really a true power hitter, but he flexed some power last year. In 182 at-bats, he went for 14 home runs, 29 RBIs, hit 236 along the way. Now, he actually was kind of a trendy deep sleeper last year, and that all went out the window when he got hurt early in the season. He missed a lot of time, but then came back, got his feet underneath him, and then he went on a binge. In September alone, hit 9 home runs that month. That said, I don't expect it to necessarily carry over to that extent. He enjoyed a 20.9% home run to fly ball rate. The league average for the majors was 12.7%. Yeah, we're going to see some regression there. He's not going to be a 40 home run guy, at least not right now, I don't expect. But hey, you're talking about a guy who definitely could go for 20 to 25 and a catcher that you can wait on. A little misleading when I did say all of these players are going after pick 200. Technically in NFBC, he's going around pick 150, but you have to remember those are 2 catcher leagues, so all of those ADPs are going to be inflated. If you look on Yahoo, he's ranked 227. This is a player who honestly is not going to be drafted in a lot of 12-team leagues, so he's either going to be a backup catcher on some fantasy squads or just a free agent when the season starts. I don't think it's a stretch to say he could have put up comparable numbers to guys who are going way earlier, like Francisco Alvarez. All right, it's burger time. Jake Burger, of course. Now, when he got traded to the Marlins, you think that might be a kiss of death for a power hitter. Oh, but no, it was the opposite. Burger was already showing his power, 34 home runs on the season, but what is significant is that he just hit much better once he got traded to the Marlins, wound up hitting 303 with Marlins. Yes, this is primarily a slugger, and we know the power is legit. In fact, all 3 major league seasons, he's been among the league leaders in maximum exit velocity, and last year, he was actually top 5 in EV50. This is a new StatCast measure, which takes the top 50% of batted balls and measures their exit velocity, and he's among the best. He just smashes the ball. The Marlins Park, definitely not, the ideal scenario for a power hitter, it didn't seem to bother him, but also it's notable that he didn't really just sell out for power as much because he was on a team that, let's face it, was at least competitive, a playoff team unlike the White Sox, and he didn't just try to lift it over the fence. He got more doubles, singles, base hits, so he won't necessarily sink your average. People thinking of Burger as just power only might be a mistake. Look, he can score some runs and drive in some runs in this lineup. He's going to have a prime spot in the heart of it. So don't sleep on Burger as a starting corner infield option late in drafts. Now, one of my favorite sleepers that I mentioned last season was Jose Siri. He's got power, got some speed on a good team in Tampa. And, well, I drafted him in several places. Was a little disappointed, to be honest. But a lot of that really, if you look back, was just because of bad luck and injuries. He got off to a slow start, and then he got hurt and missed a lot of time. But really looking back, the fact that he only played 101 games, he still ended up with 25 home runs and 12 stolen bases. And really, that stolen base total is surprisingly low because he's got speed, and Tampa is one of the teams that attempted the most steals last year. And we know steals were up across the board in the majors. But that's because Siri's injury was a hamstring injury, and you know that's going to affect a guy's not only ability to run as fast, but his tendency to run. We could see his steals go way up this year. 2020 season definitely could be in the works, maybe 25-25. Now, one of the considerations being in Tampa is, of course, playing time. They love to mix and match, but they have actually traded away some of the pieces that might affect Siri. Manny Margot went to the Dodgers. Luke Raley got traded away. And Harold Ramirez might be on his way out too. Why wouldn't he be? And so Jose Siri might just become an everyday or near everyday player. I really find it surprising that he's going ADP of 302 right now. Basically free in drafts. You get in the power, you get in the speed. Okay, batting average, not so much. Something's got to give at this point, right? Now, I keep talking about the fact that I really think Boston's offense in general, especially their outfield, is going to be underrated heading into this season. Well, I know that Masataka Yoshida is going to be a very solid floor player who's available as your third outfielder. Jarren Duran, great breakout candidate, also available around the same range. And then you get later, how about the third of the trio, Tyler O'Neill, who is a great bounce back candidate. If you played fantasy baseball in 2021, you know O'Neill because either he helped you win a championship or the guy that beat you had Tyler O'Neill. I mean, he carried some teams, let's face it, throughout the second half of that season. That year, he went for 34 home runs, 15 stolen bases, hit 286. But again, a lot of that production came in the second half, and he was just on fire. Wound up as one of the leading sluggers in baseball that season. And what happened since then? Injuries and disappointment, probably in the reverse order. Look, O'Neill has always had some plate discipline issues, even that year when he did break out, strikeout rate over 30%. Didn't walk a whole lot, and average has been a problem since then. But remember, this guy is only 28 years old. St. Louis just seems a little confused as a franchise about the direction they want to go. Seems clear they had given up on him, and it makes sense, right? O'Neill had struggled just to stay on the field and to produce. So now he gets a fresh start in Boston. Like I said, this offense could surprise people. If he can just stay healthy, always the big if, but look, the talent is there. We know he's got legit power. He's still got great speed. He can help you. And one thing that's notable, that even though his average hasn't been good, he's been disappointing, his plate discipline has improved each of the last 2 years. When you look at a measure like K minus BB, would be strikeout minus walk rate to get a player's plate discipline value. Back in his breakout season of 2021, it was 24.2%. It's a big difference between strikeout and a walk rate. And last year, even though nobody was really talking about O'Neill and he didn't do much to help you, he went down to 14.7%. That's a huge difference. His walk rate has gone up above league average, and his strikeout rate is now reasonable. If he can harness his power, utilize his speed, and again, stay healthy, we could definitely see O'Neill as a huge rebound candidate. And then if you're waiting on third base, or you just decide, hey, maybe I want some speed from the corner infield spot, try Michael Garcia of the Royals. He's an interesting case because he really profiles more like a middle infielder, but he's playing the corner, and he's part of this young, very talented Royals offense who could be ready to break out. Garcia had a hard hit rate over 50% last year, but a lot of those were in the ground, right? He's not a power hitter. So actually, it's not too bad for him because he can leg out some of those grounders. His barrel rate is really low. He only had 4 home runs last year. So again, this is a third baseman who won't give you power. But how about speed? Last year, he stole 23 bases. Could be in store for more this year. And his average was just okay, but he did underachieve. His expected batting average was 274, so that's going to help you too. The main issue with Garcia, well, he'll probably hit lower end of the batting order there. If he really ups his walk rate, maybe he inches his way up, but he's probably going to have a cap on his runs scored in RBI production. You're looking at someone who could be kind of one of those sneaky sources of steals late in the draft. You want to slot him at corner infield? Garcia could be it. And if you didn't catch my earlier video on my favorite sleepers among all hitters, well, you can check it out right here.